Hello. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday today. It's 8:30, and that means it's More Education Live. Let's talk education. You know where we're at. Thank you very much. If you are here or if you're watching on the playback, Auntie Estella, always the first in the room. Thank you, Leona Roney. We've got a few people in the room early doors. Today's topic, as I said, ping in your friends, family, loved ones. Today's topic is going to be, have parents simply given up on the education system? Have parents lost all faith in the education system? We're going to be chopping this one up this evening and pontificating. But before we do that, we are going to big up our sponsors. I always use the same stuff. I don't usually go back here and show you some of these amazing resources and posters. If you don't follow them, make sure you do. Little Scholars Playground for all of your educational needs, from children from the ages of 1 going all the way up to 8. So make sure, if you don't already, please follow them. Another resource. So one of the things that we're going to be doing here at More Education is we are going to be developing resources to support parents. We are going to be supporting parents. So one of the first ones we've got a WhatsApp group. We're going to be really pushing and promoting that. That's a WhatsApp group. We've got 3 kind of strands of our WhatsApp group. We have a SEND group. We have a kind of mental health and well-being group. We also have just general stuff around kind of teens. And we've got different professionals in each one of those groups. I've not really pushed it too hard, but at the end of this month, I'm really going to be sending out a hell of a lot of invitations into our WhatsApp group. So if you have a teenager and you just want kind of advice, support, you want to hear what other parents are doing, you want to throw some ideas in there, please join our WhatsApp group. The link is in our bio, but I'm going to be doing a lot more to be pushing this WhatsApp group because it is amazingly helpful. I really love seeing some of the ideas that come out of this, some of the suggestions that come out of that. Something else we're doing, we also have our ebook, guys. This is downloadable. If you have a child in secondary school, this is where you need to have this. So from choosing the right secondary school, communicating effectively with your school, GCSE, the whole journey, and next steps, life after secondary school. Yep. So we've got the free ebook. I'm going to be creating some courses around this as well. I'm going to be creating some real courses and content for parents, going into depth about all of these processes, because I know our parents really need a lot of support, a lot of guidance, and that's what we're here to do. So please ping in friends, family, loved ones, ping them into the room as we get started today. Today's topic is, have parents completely lost faith? Have they lost faith in the education system? Now, what has sparked this conversation? What has sparked this conversation is 2 things. 2 news articles that I've seen over the past, the past 6 or so, probably since the start of the new year. So there have been 2 big news stories, yeah, and I will cover them in my reels I release on Friday. I might need to release some more because there's been so many. The first one, I'm not sure if you've seen, is truancy, yeah, truancy rates. That's the rate of children who are off school. Yeah. So let me bring up my laptop and go into the article. So at the moment, since COVID, students haven't returned. Numbers have not returned. Yeah. Numbers have not returned to their kind of what they call pre-COVID numbers. Yeah. They just haven't. Parents aren't sending their children into school, and they're trying to angle it. And I'm listening. It's interesting because how I read the news and how I listen to the news can often be quite different. They're trying to angle it as in bad parents, like bad parents. How could you not send your children into school? Only terrible parents would be doing such thing. It's the worst of the worst. It's kind of benefit streets type angle they're kind of hitting it at. But when I do speak to parents, when I do actually speak to parents, and parents who have kept their children at home, parents who have concerns around schooling, around what their children are being taught, what's very clear is nobody's actually listening to the parents. But if you actually listened and had conversations like the quote unquote powers that be, yeah? So it says soaring truancy rates at schools are partly down to parents. That's a Daily Mail headline. I love a good Daily Mail headline, yeah? They're really trying to target it at parents and make it out as if you're the type of parent who's going to keep your child at home, yeah, who's going to keep you're a terrible parent. And I'll be honest, there was a part of me who kind of thought that as well. Like, and I think it's because of my own educational experience. For me to get a day off school, like when I was a kid, like I had to be next to death's door. Yeah, I had to be next to death's door. I'm talking like, I rarely got time off school with my mum, and she couldn't facilitate me staying at home. She literally could not facilitate me staying at home. Yeah, she did not. It wasn't happening. Yeah, so I had to go to school, and there were no sick days. Yeah, if I was sick, go to school, and that was my my model of a good parent and what you should be doing. And parents who aren't doing that, who aren't like my mum, are obviously bad parents. And I thought that initially. But the reality is, after the pandemic has revealed and kind of opened up this box of so many things inside that are happening with our children. And the schools don't have the facilities, clearly do not have the facilities to cater to these children. Now, as a parent, if you can see, and I thought a lot of this stuff was exaggerated, but a lot of these children are really kind of, firstly, we've got a range of undiagnosed needs. We have a huge range of children who have undiagnosed needs. The education system does not have the facility to diagnose or support. Yeah. So as a parent, you know there is something. I'm going to be careful with my words. You know there is something with your child that maybe isn't quite right, or you can't put your finger on it. It reminds me of my mum. I remember I was first tested for dyslexia at 6. And my mum, she wouldn't say me stupid. She wouldn't say me dunce or nothing. She wouldn't have gone that, but she knew something wasn't as it was with my older brothers. There was something slightly different. And because of the culture in which you come from, it was I was naughty, I was bad, I just couldn't sit still, Mwanta bucks, so on and so forth. We later went on to discover I was not only I was dyslexic, dyspraxic, and I was on the autistic spectrum. Something that, in regards to my communication today, still affects me, how I communicate. And I think some people say I'm able to mask it fairly well. But parents know, I say that to say, parents know when something isn't quite right. And parents are screaming out for the support. Parents are screaming out for the help. But the education system literally does not have the facilities to support these children, to support the range of children that are presenting the range of needs. But you're not hearing this in the news. You're not hearing the other side in the news where they're telling you, or they're saying that we actually don't have the facilities, we don't have the money, we don't have the resources. So things like just from my education experience and what I do, school counsellors, CAMS, which is child and adolescent mental health services. All of those things are overwhelmed. Like, you can't get a school counsellor, you can't get a therapist. We struggle to get educational psychologists to support with EPs, so educational report. All of those it's a struggle. But parents know this, but on the other side, nobody's saying anything. And how they're trying to twist it and turn it is that it's the bad parents. And they almost had me as well. They almost had me saying that you guys, you parents, are bad. But when I do speak to parents, when I'm fortunate enough to speak to parents, and I see myself as being in a very, very fortunate position, very, very fortunate position. And thank you to the parents who trust me enough to send me a message, send me a voice note, pop me an email, yeah, to ask my opinion, and ask my support, and I'll always try and give it when I have the time. I'm realizing that a lot of parents are kind of, they're desperate. They're really, really desperate, and they're not being heard. And this not sending your child into school, although it's not something I advise, I now understand that it's almost a cry. It's a cry for support. It's a cry for the system's not working. They don't. If they're giving me a yes or no, if you're a parent in the chat, if you're agreeing, I've seen Sophie said 100%, 100%. This idea that children or parents aren't sending their children into school and it's becoming a huge issue is a breakdown of the system. It is parents voting, not whatless parents, yeah, not what is parents screaming for help, but there being no support. There being no support. There being no guidance. There being zero resources. Yeah, nothing at all. The schools are bare. So what do you do as a parent? The thing is, I think we can all establish the fact that as parents, the schools or the idea of school that we knew and what's there now is completely different. I've said this in numerous lives before. I don't want to go over and over and over and over it again. If you don't know and if you're new, guys, with every other public offering from the government, they've been stripped out. The NHS stripped out. I'm trying to think of other services, like even the armed services stripped out to the core. Schools stripped out. Social work services stripped out bare. And with schools, it's really, really, really bad. It's really, really bad. And I'm troubled with the way how I never hear that narrative put forward. We always hear, and I wonder if it's, I don't know, I'm now starting to kind of come up with some conspiracy theories as why it is that when we look at, the transport system, you hear like the transport workers talking about how they're underfunded and there's nothing there and how it's been stripped out and it's almost against the government. You've got these directly pointing at the government. You've got NHS workers directly pointing at the government. But teachers don't really seem to be getting their message across about how stripped out the service is. Parents don't seem to be unifying their voices and saying the school system isn't working and it is not fit for purpose for my child. It is not fit for purpose for my child. So coming back to the topic, have parents completely given up on the school system? Completely given up. They're saying there is nothing there for my child. We don't have the facilities, we don't have the support, and there's nothing there. There is nothing there in schools, and they've almost stuck to the same system for so long, but these children are completely different. Completely. Now, you've heard me speak about Gen Z children. You've heard me speak about Gen Zs. I take the mickey out of our Gen Z children all the time. Yeah. So my daughter falls in. So I think that's born, is it up to 2012? Somebody will have to Google it for me. Thank you, Noel. Yes, somebody will have to Google it for me. And Noel just reminded me as well, something else. I'll get onto the idea of homeschooling as well. We've got our Gen Z children, but as well as our Gen Z children, you've got something that come after them called Gen Alpha. Yeah. So that's after the Gen Zs. Yeah. And, I was sent an article about how those set of children are operating on a completely different level. They are defiant and they are not engaging. They're not here. Them, for want of a better phrase, they're not taking any talk. They're very, very defiant and strong-willed within their views. I'll probably post it up on my page, the story that I've been sent. But Gen Alpha children, so those are the ones born after 2012. So these are the ones that are under like 10 years old. These children, in regards to their understanding of the world, in regards to how they're engaging with the world, they're just not having it. They're not having it. They're not engaging. I have parents simply coming and telling me, my child just is not engaging. What do I do? What do I do? And I'm not one of the only professionals who is having this problem. But going back to the topic, just to repeat, are parents completely, have they given up? Have they given up? Because you had the rise in, sorry, an absolute understatement. They are not having a bar of it at all. Yes, I'm going to share that on my story. I'm going to share that post on my story about Gen Alpha. These are the kids that are under 10 who are defiant to a completely, defiant. They're not having a bar of it, just to quote Sophie there. But you've got the rising homeschooling as well, which is very, very, very interesting because not to toot my own horn, but I think I did something with The Voice maybe about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, where we spoke about homeschool and they interviewed me, and we have a range of parents who do homeschool where we support them with the homeschooling of their children, and I can see it's done in. There's two ways of doing the homeschooling thing, but both elements show a rejection of the educational system. It's not fit for purpose. It does not work for our children. We do not want it, yeah? In my opinion, there's a right way of doing it and there's a wrong way of doing it. The right way of doing it, the best way of doing it, is to be preemptive, yeah? So you're tuning into these lives and you're engaging in these conversations and you're reading these and you're part of these WhatsApp groups. You're part of our WhatsApp groups. You're hearing what other parents are saying. You're listening and you're preemptive and you're actively planning to say, you know something, I'm not sending my child into the system. I'm not doing it. I'm going to sit down. Is it either with a group of other parents? I'm going to sit down with my partner and we're going to plan the educational provision of our child. Yeah? Those are the parents who do it well, who do it really well, who work in small cooperatives of others. So this mum might do art, this mum might do music, this person might do this person might do that. It's strategically planned. Yeah? Those are the parents I see that do it amazingly well. Amazingly well. And please don't think like this homeschool. I hate the way they try and frame it that this homeschooling thing is something new. Please note, our late Queen Elizabeth was homeschooled. Most of the royal families are homeschooled. Before, like, I think Charles was the first monarch or in line to the throne not to be homeschooled. Yeah. It's what people do. It's how it works. But it's something that's strategically planned. And when you think about, and I use royalty as an example, because one of the key things that they teach their children, and you have the opportunity to teach your child, is protocol, culture and protocol. So they would have learned about, what forks to use or how the protocol of royalty. You have the opportunity in there to teach your child or your children about key things that they wouldn't learn in the curriculum, but it has to be preempted. But the second way in which it's done, which I've seen destroy children's lives, and I think from the whole spectrum of not engaging with the education system and parents, the title of today is Have Parents Given Up on the Education System, is where a rash decision is made, yeah? Is where a rash decision is made in regards to a child's life. So, for example, there's been turmoil at school. Usually a child has maybe been given a fixed term exclusion or some type of exclusion and they're removed. And rather than that child having that blot against their name, a parent will say, oh, well, I'm just going to homeschool the child. I'm going to homeschool the child. And we try to homeschool the child, but there's no plan in place. There is no finite key plan in place in order to homeschool that child. So a lot of the time it's scrambling around for resources, scrambling around for people who can support. And that's sometimes when I get the call. But oftentimes, by the time I get the call, it's too late. And one of the things that people don't really focus on or are unable to do is pre-plan. They're not able to pre-plan. And if you're going to be doing that, you need to make sure if you're going to withdraw your child, you have a plan and you have a budget. You have a plan and you have a budget. So you have to remember that homeschooling a child is probably, not even homeschooling, school. The budget of a child, average child, primary school is probably about $5,500 annually. That's what the government would allocate. Once it gets up to secondary, it's a bit more. Depending on the borough, it might be a bit more. Depending on the child's special needs, it's a lot more. Yeah, it's a hell of a lot more. So if the government is spending, let's say $5,500-6,000 a year on your child being schooled, bear that in mind for when you're homeschooling. You must have a budget. If you do not have a budget, yeah, and you're hoping to do it kind of off the cuff, that's where we begin to have these disaster stories. And that's where the media now begin to flip it and frame it that, oh, you're a parent who doesn't care about your child's education. It's these, sorry, let me just quickly go back to that Mirror, the Daily Mail headline. The Daily Mail headline where it says, soaring truancy rates are partly down to parents. Yeah, where it's almost the benefit street parents who can't be bothered to get out of bed and take their children to school are to blame for truancy rates. But the reality is that's not true. Parents, and I'm going to be honest, particularly mothers have that feeling where they know something's wrong and they don't want to send their children into school. They don't want to send their children into school because they know that something is wrong and it's badly wrong. I'm gonna wrap up for the last few minutes and talk about another story or something else in regards to why parents are giving up. The social contract. So there's a social contract, and it is, and I think this may tie into the idea of those Gen Alpha kids, yeah, where you send your child to school and the teacher has locus parentis. Is it locus parenti? I can't remember exactly what it is. I'm sure Ms. Johnson would be able to help me with that one. But loco parentis, yeah. So I am in place of the parent as they are, yeah. But what we're finding is because the relationship between the parent and the child is not one of a parent-child relationship where one guides, instructs, and supports a child in regards to what to do and how to navigate the world. When teachers or educational institutions try to do that, those kids aren't having it. They're not having it. And you're hearing, I think it was a slight exaggeration where you were hearing like over the weekend, they were saying that teachers are scared to come out in the corridors because students are roaming the corridors and dominating. And it's slight exaggeration. And I appreciate as a, what am I, 17.5 stone, 18 stone black male who's fairly imposing and has never really been scared of a hell of a lot of things, yeah. It's easy for me to walk down the corridors, but I've seen teachers, yeah, who are scared to walk down who are scared to engage with children, who are petrified. And what happens with children is when they smell that blood, oh my gosh, they are ready. They are ready to tear teachers apart. But it's usually only when they kind of sense that element of weakness. So my question is, or what I'm really debating is, have we had a complete breakdown in regards to, in some schools, of behaviour and behaviour management? And that's one of the themes you are going to see consistently, where that contract is broken and a lot of the children are no longer adhering to that contract. For want of a better phrase, they're not taking any talk. They're not having it. They're not engaging, and they're making it very, very, very clear. Very clear. And when you speak to them, what it is if I don't take talk from my mum or my dad or it's someone at home, why would I take talk from you? I repeat, if I don't take talk from people in my house, who are you? Who are you? And when we have conversations, open conversations like that happening, you know we have a serious problem. Serious problem. So when you are thinking about what's happening in your child's school, when you are hearing these news articles, try and think about them critically, because it's reflecting on wider issues of what's going on in the world. It's not simply just these terrible parents who are not sending their children to school and who are having them at home, I'm assuming, eating crisps and oven food or whatever it is that the Daily Mail deems to be unhealthy today. Yeah? So just be very aware of that. What I want to say is I want to encourage everybody in the room, please, if you're a parent of a child, we have a WhatsApp group. We have 3 strands to the WhatsApp group. We have, if you have a child of SEND, special educational needs, we have a group with experienced educational professionals in that room to help support you. Remember, they're busy, so they'll try and get to you as quickly as possible, but it may be like 24 hours before they reply, but we try and be really, really, really quick. We have one to support with emotional needs. This is a completely free WhatsApp group, by the way. There's no charge, there's no hook. It's just parents, supporting parents. I've got a range of educational professionals who always ask, Ziggy, what can I do? What can I do? They're in the group to help. Yeah? That's the first free resource we have. The second one is we have our book. We have our ebook. That's in a link. It is Essential Guide to Understanding Secondary School. Listen, it breaks everything down for you. It's like a handbook for parents. If you have a child in secondary school, what are GCSEs, how to break down their GCSEs, how to help them pick their GCSEs if they're year 9, how to help you pick a book, how to correspond with a school, the best way to correspond with a school. Because see, that correspondence with school is vital. It's vital. And if I'm going to say anything, there's a school of thought where, if my child's okay and doing okay, I don't really need to correspond with the school. Make sure the school knows who the hell you are. Make sure they know who, if it's an email, not just on parents, even if it's a little email, if it's a good one is like Christmas and at Easter, sending a little present. Make sure they know who you are. But please engage with these free resources. Yeah, please engage with these free resources. We have paid resources where we can have a consultation with you and your child, and we can see where they are academic. That's £47. All those links are in the bio. This is us on Tuesday. Next week, Tuesday. Okay, look out for the email. This one's gonna be. I've been easy today. Next week, I'm gonna pose a serious question. A serious question. Next week, Tuesday at 8:30, and I'm gonna be ready for what the young people call smoke, because I've worked out something. If I'm gonna be honest with this generation of parents. We've got a lot of big talk. I've been doing this for a while, guys. I've been doing this MooreEducation thing for a while. I've got data. And it's not even me. I was talking with my team today. And they said something that was very difficult to dispute about us as parents. When I say us as parents, I'm going to be very, very specific, yeah? Black parents from the African Caribbean community, or African and Caribbean community. I've got a big question to ask next week, so make sure you tune in, 8:30 here on the dot. Many of you came late, you'd get a detention for that at MooreEducation, but I know you lead busy lives. I look forward to seeing you 8:30 next week on the dot. I have a big question to ask you. I want to ask what you really think, and can we really dispute it? Have a lovely, lovely week. I'll see you next week.